So, hey guys, just wanted to lead off with saying thanks again for jumping on and hope everybody is doing well. I know every week is a new, uh, a blank canvas of what's going on. Like, last week can feel good, the next week can feel crazy. People are going through a lot of things, whether it's, directly correlated to the pandemic or not, and so um, so I appreciate you guys continuing to reinvest in your business by being on the Shift Mastermind. It means a lot for sure. So, Ron, saw you just jumped on, and um, good morning, sir. So
Morning.
today, I do not want to take too much credit. I was very lucky to have gotten a call from Stephen, who's on the call with us, Stephen Larese, and he is a bold coach, has been for 2 years. He's down in southern Arizona. You said Sierra Vista, right, or the Tucson area, right? And
Tucson, yeah.
Tucson, yeah.
hmm
So, and had reached out, and as you guys know from our team meeting, they have the bold pivot, that they're doing for deeply discounted price. But he really wanted to come on from a value perspective and kind of give that bold twist to today's Shift Mastermind. I mean, as you guys, some of you may know this, some of you may not. Like those of you that have done bold, right? Like it is an intense 8 weeks, right? And I love every time that I've taken bold twice, and uh, it is that productivity side, right? This can be mastermind. We can talk about things we're going to implement. Bold will make you implement it. And so, especially with, the tactics in particular from last week and this week, I mean, it's about putting things into action. And so I was going to let Stephen, he's going to join us for the hour, but I wanted to give him his 5-10 minutes in case he needed it. He's got a call at 11. So in case he needed to jump off 5 minutes early, I was going to let him talk a little bit just real quick, and then we'll start diving right into our mastermind. So Stephen, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Alex. Fantastic. So yeah, like Alex said, I'm a bold coach, and I work in Tucson, Arizona. So Arizona boy, like you guys. So yeah, KWRI gave us, all the bold coaches gave us the assignment to reach out to all the market centers within Keller Williams and just jump on a Zoom call if possible and invite everyone we possibly can to join our bold pivot. Alex said y'all mentioned it in your team meeting before. Who's heard of bold pivot? Raise your hand. Everyone? Cool, just about everybody. Fantastic. So again, I just wanted to talk about bold pivot, what it is, why it's important, who it's for, and then answer any questions around it, and hopefully, encourage you guys, inspire you guys to sign up for bold. That's essentially why I'm here, and then add some value too for our shift call moving forward. So again, thank you, Alex. You guys are in great hands. He truly is an awesome leader. From the few phone calls I've been able to have with him, he really does care deeply about each of you. And those of you guys that are listening to the recording, you as well. So what is Bold Pivot? It's a digital version of Bold 2.0. And essentially what we're going to do is incorporate Gary's 4 points or 4 pivot points. Who knows what the 4 pivot points are that Gary's been talking about lately? Everybody know? Yeah, see, no one knows. I knew, nobody knew. That was a trick question. He hasn't shared them yet. And in order to know what the 4 points are, you could almost guess what they would be. Yeah, in order to really know, you'd have to sign up for Bold Pivot. So anyways, obviously, what would Bold be without talking about mindset, and how important is mindset in these crazy times right now? Essentially, what we're going to do there is we're going to split everyone up into groups. Just according to, and depending on how many people sign up, we'll have different groups. And essentially where we'll start is like, what can we focus on? What can we control? What can't we control? And what can we do about it right now to ensure that our business is moving forward? The mantra that Bold Pivot will be all about is what Gary's been talking about constantly since this thing really has taken a turn for the worse and really started to shift, is service first, selling second. Service first, selling second for everyone in your database and in your world. How can we serve those people and truly show that we care? Because once they know we care, they will always remember us. And we'll talk about command and working with your database through command. So who in here feels like they have opportunity to increase their knowledge and proficiency with command? Raise your hand. Yeah, me too. I'm in the same boat. We will have guest speakers from KWRI come into the Bold Zoom rooms and walk us through important key updates throughout command. So there will be a lot more hands-on training in Bold Pivot with command than you traditionally would see in like the Bold room. We'll talk about scripts for right now in this crazy shifting market that have worked, that we have seen our top agents using and still taking listings and closing deals with the scripts. So obviously there'll be scripts. Something we've seen an incredible increase in is the social media presence. So we will give you texts and social media campaigns that have worked, that are working currently, and we'll share those with you. We will help you identify expenses. As one thing that we learn in Shift is, you know, where can we cut expenses? In a shifting market, one of the best things we can do to ensure we stay in the business and survive at the beginning and then ultimately thrive later on is to cut unnecessary expenses. And so on average, the model we've been using, our agents that have been doing this model, we've been able to average about $500 a month per agent in savings. I mean, so right there, you get your money back, right? So I don't know if I mentioned or if you've heard, Bold Pivot is $99. So imagine if we can help cut $500 from either your personal or business expenses. I mean, right there, it pays for itself in 1 month, right? And you can keep that going for as long as you want. We will also dive into the idea of doubling down. I'm sure you guys remember from Shift, we got to double down our efforts in certain areas. And what Bold has always been great at is mindset and accountability. And we will hold you accountable to the actions that we know we got to take to ensure we still hit the goals that we set for ourselves at the beginning of the year, even though the market is shifting. Okay, so that's kind of the what of what Bold Pivot is and what it's all about. Let's talk about the when we're doing it. Okay, so Tuesday and Thursdays, it'll be every Tuesday and Thursday. The live stream will be from 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. So for us here in Arizona, that's 11 to 1 every day. They will be recorded. So if you can't get on those live streams, you'll have a recorded option that will be stored on our Bold Pivot Facebook group, which you will also have access to. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, so that's Tuesday and Thursdays. Then Wednesday and Friday from 1 to 3, we have what we call our Coaches Corner. Now that's an optional thing for Bold, like for the fouls and all of that, which they haven't identified yet. Yet for those Tuesday and Thursdays, those are the calls you got to at least be on or watch the recording. For the Wednesday and Fridays, it's optional, and we're calling those a Coach's Corner. And so there will be multiple Bold coaches that will just be there to dive deep into the material that was presented the day before, dive deep into like anything holding us back from doing the activities that we've identified as important right now, and then just basically answer questions around your business, your mindset, and anything you need help with. So that'll be the Coach's Corner, same time, 11 to 1 our time. And then, like I said, you'll have access to the Bold Facebook Pivot group. Right now, I think there's like 8,000 members, and it's similar to our Bold Facebook group. Yet this will be specifically for Bold Pivot. Okay, and the only way you can get into that is to pay and sign up for Bold Pivot. Now, the cool thing about that is there are people from all over the world that are part of that. And the best part, in my opinion, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, Monday through Saturday, not on Sundays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the Bold coaches, all the Bold coaches, there's 49 of us, and we will be monitoring that Facebook page. So if you have a question, within minutes, the question will be answered. And I mean, you could just set up personal one-on-one conversations, either via text or Zoom or just over the phone with any of the Bold coaches that are monitoring that Facebook page. So you'll have access to all 49 Bold coaches and a number of other people from KWRI. We hope and anticipate having a few guest speakers that will be very worth, I mean, the $99 in my opinion. So you'll be able to see stuff like that. And then, so who's involved, right? Who do we want there? Obviously, as many of our agents as possible. So each one of you would be amazing. Any of your friends, your non-KW agents, because we intend it to be a tool to help recruit agents still for our leadership. And then of course, all the leadership. So the goal is to help you make more money. The goal is to help you sharpen your presentation skills, be more efficient and effective in working at home. who's seen an incredible opportunity and being more effective and efficient working at home? Hasn't that been fascinating? Right? I hear you. I feel you. Trust me. And then, of course, the goal during a shift is to take market share. What we take during a shift, the market share we take, we never lose as long as we continue to do the activities we intend to do. So what questions do you have for me around Bold Pivot? Any questions you have? I know I gave you a whole bunch of information. So any questions for me?
I'll throw out there, that was a lot. Obviously educating myself on it as team leader, but that whole, being able to reach out to the Bold coaches directly is huge. Because again, it's been a couple of years, but I've taken Bold, and again, they're there for you, but like not like that. You know what I mean? So you guys are going above and beyond in this digital world for sure. So this virtual world that we're dealing with. So that's awesome.
Thank you. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to put the link in the comments so you guys can click on that. And if you intend to sign up, just click on that. I mean, you can do your credit card right there, right then and there. Does anyone plan to sign up right now? Raise your hand if you intend on signing up for Bold Pivot right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got 2 more to work on. 4, Stephen and Aaron. I'm going to work on you too, okay?
I have a quick question. What about the materials? Because at previous Bolds, we usually got the big paper bundles and all that stuff and everything. So how's this going to work this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. They've gone back and forth on different things on how to do it. I think the latest I've heard is that you'll have access through the Bold Facebook pivot group, and it'll be like a digital option. So it'll be all online and it'll be interactive that way. That's what I've heard recently. They have been going kind of back and forth. I think though they've also talked about doing like a PDF version. So you could just have it on your computer and you can download it if you'd like. There's different PDF options where you can type it in right there. Right. So that's what I've heard though. Those are the kind of 2 options that are bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions? All right, Stephen and Aaron, think about it. I'll be on the call the whole time. If you have any more questions, you ask me, okay?
I mean, more than likely, I'm going to sign up. I'm just not by my computer right now. So.
All right, cool. That's all right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, one more, Stephen. Just you, my man. We got to share the awesome, cool name. I'm kidding. I don't mean to pressure you at all. Please don't misinterpret that.
I have a feeling the only reason he didn't raise his hand, and you don't know this, is that at any moment he could be taking off because he signed up for the National Guard, right? So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So that's he's like, I could sign up for that and then, not be able to partake in any of it. Yeah, exactly. So
that's my own.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So some funny stories. Have you ever guys, who in here has taken Bold before? Everyone? Yeah. So have you ever heard agents in Bold say, oh, I wish my husband was here to help him with his mindset, or my wife, right? Vice versa. I wish my wife was here so she can hear all this stuff. Well, we've had a tremendous number of people say, my husband is going to take it this time. Now that it's digital, he's taking Bold to help his mindset. Anyways, that was just funny side story. So cool. Thank you.
Honestly,
Alex.
Now that you just said that, I'm like, I would even pay for her to have her own login.
Right? That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm making my assistant take it too for that same reason. So I don't want that negative Nancy around me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Okay. Perfect.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
Well, thanks so much, man. And yeah, thanks for sticking around and we'll appreciate your input in our mastermind, otherwise. But so guys, I guess let's recap anything lead generate. Obviously you guys know Tactic 6 is still very lead conversion. And I know we kind of spoke about lead conversion last week. This one's more like internet lead conversion, but I'm glad that we're going to get to kick off and highlight internet lead conversion because there's actually multiple reasons that I'm excited about that. But we can't go door knock really, or shouldn't be. Open houses are weird, and I'll talk about my experience that I had this past weekend. But so I'm glad we're going to be able to talk about internet lead conversion here in Tactic 6. And then it's really funny reading this stuff because I'm living it in real time, right? Pricing ahead of the market in Tactic 7, right? And what strategies, how do we stand out next to our competition? Because I think you guys have experienced, right? One home, you could be like, nothing's changed. It's sold overnight. It's things are still crazy. And then you move over to another property and you're like, yep, definitely feeling it. Right. and I'm literally dealing with it in real time as well, right there with you guys. So, but I did want to make, before we just jumped in, from last week, like, is there anything from the internet, I'm sorry, not internet, but just lead generation or lead conversion that you guys experienced in this past, 7 days, that we can kind of touch on and revisit? No, nobody lead gen. We all just sat at home. Aaron,
Alex,
I know you
don't
lead
call
gen.
us out
You did
in front of the
something,
new
right?
guy.
Say that again.
I said, don't call us out in front of the new guy.
I know, right?
I won't judge you too harsh. It's okay.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, definitely lead genning. I mean, if we're not lead genning, I don't know why we're on this phone call anyway at that point. No, I mean, the only thing is, it's the same thing. I'm coming from a place of contribution on everything. I had one lady from out of state. Hey, yeah, like using Facebook Messenger you gave me, and hey, yeah, want to talk? All right, great, let's talk. So got me and talked to her, and brought on another agent from that city. Now I got a referral out of it. Like, something happens. Nothing happens. What's the point? But
yeah,
out there.
Alex, something I've seen as I've had conversations, people are like worried about me a little bit. If I reach out to them and I don't even have any intention of talking about real estate, I'm just like checking in, right? Just seeing how you're doing, making sure everyone's healthy. And they always ask me, so it opens up the conversation, like, how's the market doing? And they're concerned. I can tell they're concerned about my income, right? And I'm like, well, actually the market is still really strong. And I explain to them why. And it's a cool conversation to have if you understand what's going on. So I think that's key with the lead generation. Do you know your numbers? And my favorite is just to use stories. If you use stories, people really listen. So one that I use all the time, and this literally happened to me just over a week ago. I put up a listing and she was a little bit concerned, and we put it up finally, and we had agreed on 300,000. And then last minute, have you ever been there? Last minute, she's like, Steven, let's do 310 instead. And I already thought 300 was a little high. And the day we're about to sign paperwork and put everything up, like finalize everything, pictures are already done. She's like, yeah, let's do 310. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And she said, no, let's do it. I trust it's going to work out. And 3 days later, we got full price offer. And I was like, holy,
really?
Yeah, at 310. And I was like, man, we should have went higher. And the reason I believe is because the inventory continues to go down. And I think because now people are afraid, like, I can't sell my house now. We're in the corona has attacked us, right? And so, and I use that story. Sorry, I dropped my pen. I use that story to help people understand, like, things are still moving and buyers are still out there, and the buyers that are out there are motivated to move.
Our title company up here, Magnus Title. I mean, I know they're Arizona based. I just don't know how big they are down in Tucson, but they're pretty big up here. But they had hosted had a call about the numbers and everything a week ago. I don't know, my weeks are blending together. I think it was a week ago, right? But
right.
Yeah, but I think it was last week. And, her name was Tina, and that was kind of giving the presentation. And you just look at the numbers and you're like, guys, feeling wise, things feel weird. I was like, but the numbers are the numbers, right? And so I appreciate the story you just shared, right? Because having been in real estate for 8 years, like, I know sometimes hearing your team leader or that person tell you things, so getting a different perspective on it and hearing, like, that was literally last week's call, like, verbatim, right? Like, call your database, come from contribution, and they literally are wanting to have a real estate conversation with you, right? Because
they started.
No, 2 reasons, right? I love what you said. They are concerned for you, right? If it's your database, they know what you do, assuming you've told them before, right? But like, if they know what you do, they're just like, oh yeah, real estate. Like, are you doing okay? And you're like, yeah, thriving, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Or or hopefully you are, right? And if you're not, then we look up and say, okay, but you can thrive, right? Like, none of us have to, like, just, what I love about right now, I don't have to BS anybody. Things are weird, but you can be a successful real estate agent right now, and that's what's great. So, and I agree with you, before we jump into it. So here's what's funny. I will tell you guys how I lead generated But ironically, it wasn't me trying to lead generate on purpose. It was actually, kind of what we're going to talk about here in like tactic, kind of 7, but primarily 8. Hey, what strategies can you do to stand out, from your competition right now? Right. And a lot of because I had posted to see if anybody wanted to actually do it, because I was like, trust me, let's take a bold cliche, right? Like my drunk monkey was on my shoulder. I'm like, I don't really want to sit at this home for 3 hours, right? Like, so Stephen, just to kind of let you know, Stephen, bold coach Stephen, sorry. So many of you know this, but because of the pandemic, I had this gorgeous listing, right? Like I know it was going to sell overnight, but the problem was the sellers definitely said, hey, no interior showings, right? Like, sorry, but like completely virtual. And as I'm kind of building up for that this last week, I legitimately was like, okay, well, honestly, ironically, nothing was super different. Still did the 3D floor plan, had the great pictures. I kind of went back and forth, is the video walkthrough really going to do it, or any justice, or, how are people going to be okay with making an offer on this home, not getting to go inside before making an offer. So I go, this owner, I had sold him the home 5 years ago, and this backyard, 12,000 square foot lot, it was all gravel and really hilly when I sold it to him, right? In that time, converted it into, they put in like a pool / guest house. They put in a whole pool. They've easily dumped, $80,000 to $90,000 into the backyard, kind of a thing, right? And I go, well, look, it's one thing to not be able to step inside, but like this backyard has to be shown off. So I ended up doing like an exterior only open house. I go, I know that if I can set a time window for agents to come by with their clients, at the minimum for that, right? And so again, trying not to have like 1,000 people in the backyard at the same time. I didn't even put out signs on the main road. In retrospect, I'm like, maybe I should have, but I was actually busy the entire 3 hours, like, telling people about the property. And I looked up, I go, I guess if we can be safe about it, right? Like, mask on and gloves, and people kept their distance between each other and everything like that. We were still able to do that exterior open house, show people the backyard. And my clients had every blind up, every screen down, and all the lights on so they could peek inside through the windows as well, right? So, so even through a very unique time that we're like, we're going through uncharted territory with this pandemic. I thought it was a win. And oh, by the way, I happened to also meet someone who goes, yeah, I just kind of like to go to the open houses, and my daughter's going to go to U of A here soon, and then my youngest is 16. But we're in Ahwatukee, right? And we have this 5,000 square foot home with a casita. We think it's, probably like 1.2, 1.3. And, we just know that it's going to be time to downsize soon once she goes, because our current daughter goes to a different Catholic school over in Chandler. So all her friends are over in Chandler. So she wants us to move, right? Like she wants us to go east. And she's like, yeah, like one of our good friends is a realtor, but to be honest with you, like we've always kind of been like, hey, we're never committed to anybody, So like, that whole, like, if you know anybody, and I'm like, I was like, well, yeah, if you're not blatantly saying you're committed to your agent, like, definitely got her name and number, definitely in text conversations, and, right. So it's so funny. I go, man, I'm dreading this drunk monkey, right? Like total, like, I don't want to waste 3 hours on my Saturday, because especially you guys know with me being a team leader, I'm like, I kind of want to spend that with my kids. Right. But I go, but hey, you know what? You go out of the way. It was a very unique experience doing that. And again, now it's on me, right, to stay on top of that lead, and who knows what could turn out of that person, me, because it was great, right? I grew up in Ahwatukee. I go, I know your neighborhood. I know exactly where your street is. I've been on your street, and I live over here, so I know the East Valley really well, so hopefully that in her eyes is like, well, at the minimum, I need to stay in touch with you. Maybe about homes coming on the market that could be a good fit, right? So even if she does end up going with a friend, maybe to sell the home or something. So, so yeah, I mean, we got to get unique and convert at a high level. But have you guys done anything, anything that kind of stood out to you in that lead gen and that lead conversion, ask conversation, this last week? I'm not going to talk for an hour, so you guys.
I'll go again. Something you said to I'm not going to answer your question. I'm going to go a different route just because
go ahead.
something you said was really good. And it reminded me of shift tactic number 11. Y'all remember which one that is? I have my book in front of me, so I'm cheating. What is shift tactic number 11?
Master the market of the moment.
That's right. Master the moment. And I love what he's talking about there. What Gary teaches in shift is he's talking about what? Shore sales, foreclosures, REOs, all that kind of stuff, right? However, what Alex is talking about is digital marketing, or in this case, an open house for just the backyard because we can't actually do interior showings. That's a perfect example of how to take market share in a shift or mastering the market of the moment. He saw what he had available, the awesome backyard, the $80,000 backyard, and said, you know what, let's just spotlight the heck out of this, which we were going to do anyways if we had a normal market. Yet why not do extra on that, because that's what we can do. So that's a perfect example of mastering the market right now, like what is going on. And that's why, and I don't mean to plug Bold Pivot again, yet I'm going to. Whatever, right? We're just going to. Like, those are the kind of ideas we're thinking about. Like, who in here has done a digital open house? I haven't. I have no idea even where to start with that. And maybe you guys have, but there are people that are doing that at a super high level. And I want to learn from them because who knows how long this thing's going to last. If that becomes the norm, and how cool would it be to be able to do just an open house from your home and not have people come in and just capture 100 people? Like, what's a regular good open house? Was that like 10 people in their open house? Like, how cool would it be to be able to master a digital open house where you get 100 leads from that open house? And then you could do 2 or 3 open houses every week without even ever leaving your house. That makes sense. Like, that's the benefit and the value of having a shifting market. We can take market share by doing that if we learn from it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that was such a perfect segue to this. So thank you so much. You kind of teed that up. You don't even know that you did, but you did. So what else did I do? Right. I kind of shared with you guys on our internal Facebook page, but for that open house, I just threw all over here, like, has everybody done an open house? Like, I know we have a couple of us that are newer, but everybody's done a open house, right? So what would you say you spent on that open house, like that normal open house, that physical open house? I don't know about you guys, but like I may get drinks, some kind of food, whether that's cookies, right? Like, you're getting balloons maybe, but like, would you guys all agree you spent 25, 30, maybe even $50 like on an open house? Would that be fair to say?
At least 20.
At least, right? Like, so that's why I didn't want to go too crazy, right? I spent $30 on Facebook through Command, right? I went into campaign, and you guys saw it. I mean, Stephen, you didn't, because, obviously not being in our market center, but all of you definitely saw, and there it was, right? My ad copy was like nothing super creative. Exterior open house, April 11th, 11 to 2, rare 4-bedroom, 4-bath, plus a guest / pool house, in amazing South Chandler. Like, come check this out and join us, right? So I'll tell you guys right now, because it's all about learning and implementing. Where did I mess up? I actually want to lead with where I messed up. I should have planned that sooner, because Command likes to take about 6 to 12 hours before it's going to kick off a lead. It really wants to start off the ad the next day. Well, I did that on Friday. My open house is on Saturday, if that's going to start Saturday morning, right? So I really minimized my target audience dramatically. Nonetheless, what I ended up getting 5 leads for that $30. And to Steven's point, right? Like, what do we normally, like, I don't know. I think we've all sat and struck out on open houses, right? Like, nobody ended up showing up, right? Like, I have,
That's so fun.
They're so great. They're my favorite when nobody shows up. It's like, I literally could have done anything better. And guess what? And totally wasn't on purpose. Didn't have a phone list in front of me to dial while somebody didn't come. You know what I mean? Like, totally just wasted 3 hours. And to your point, right? I go, and because what is the kind of like negative mindset around internet leads. Well, they're going to give a bad phone number, or they're not going to give good contact information in general, right? Like, this, that, whatever. Trust me, having, you guys all know my past team that I had, we were Facebook lead gen heavy. 36% of our internet leads would give a bad phone number. So then you're just going after, emails. And I go, hey, none of that's going to change. But I don't know about you guys. Have you done an open house and maybe even had 12 people come through, and then you try, they all signed in, and they either don't give the number because they're like, no way, right? Or they give a fake number. So I go, isn't it ironic? Even people in person are going to treat it almost exactly like an internet thing. They're like, if they give and you go, perfect. Like, I'd rather you give a bad number, and I know right off the bat that I don't need to call you 17 times because you're going to ignore my call. I'd rather you gave your information because you actually do want to talk to me. And that's how I view these Facebook leads. And so I'm admitting to you guys, I messed up by starting out on a Friday, and I only got 6 leads for my $30, where that would have been better. And I probably could have even gotten 10 leads for my $30 had I started that sooner, so that I gave Facebook some time. I say Facebook, but Command obviously tells Facebook what we're trying to run. And then Facebook says, perfect. If you give me some time, right? If you give me at least like 3 days, but hopefully like 5 days to 10 days, for any of you that have gone there and even like drafted one just to play around with it and not even actually, published it, you see that it like defaults to like 10 days. And that's because Facebook wants to say, hey, we need to play around with your ad and see where it responds really well. Is it better in the timeline, in the news feed? I mean, is it better in the stories? Is it better in a video? Is it better on the top right corner? Right. And so if I give it a day, they're like, yeah, thanks, Alex. Like, we'll just blast it somewhere and hopefully it acts really well. You know what I mean? And so I fortunately still got those 5 leads, and, surprisingly, 4 of them had good phone numbers and 2 of them did not. Right. And I'm counting in the 2, one guy that says, I didn't sign up. Someone's out there playing a joke on me. This is my number, but like, I didn't sign up, kind of a thing. And I'm counting that in the 2. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. But again, those 4, exactly. Oh, I'm just looking. If any of you've ever generated Facebook leads before, right? I'm just looking. I was just curious, all that. But hey, great. Well, hey, I'm glad you are. I don't expect you to like want to buy this home right now. I'm sure you were just, taking, window shopping. What can we do, for you today? I say we, from a team aspect, or me, is there anything I can do for you today during your window shopping phase? I mean, do you have a good app that you're using? Can I send you our KW app so that you can continue that window shopping, right? And are you okay if I stay in touch with you? Those of you that have sat in 36 touch with me, or coached or anything, right? It goes right back to the, hey, what I really want to do is just stay in touch with you. Whether you buy in a day or in a year or in 10 years, like, all I want is your permission to stay in touch with you, right? And check in with you quarterly and send you updates on neighborhoods you're interested in, right? All I want to do is just be able to bring you value so that one day you look up and say, I need to do something. Who should I use? Who should I call? Well, why wouldn't I call Tara? Or why wouldn't I call Stephanie? Or why wouldn't I call Steven or Aaron? They've been sending me information. They check in on me quarterly. Hell, they even sent me a birthday card, you know what I mean, in that time. So you have to look up and say, yeah, guys, hey, trust me, I look up and I go, I don't know, is my virtual open house the 3D floor plan? Am I going to go walk through it and record it on my phone so that I can go record it once and, use that recording, for the virtual open house? Am I actually going to go to the property and do like a live stream via Zoom, for my virtual open house? There's no right or wrong answer, right? But we just have to look up and say, yeah, I can't just sit around and wait for things to get better, because what if they don't, right? Like, some of us, look, I remember being, for some of you who are newer to real estate, let's say 1 year less, right? I remember being there, and other agents who had been in the business for definitely since there were dinosaurs, being like, hey, like, yeah, your database, and you're just like, yeah, but like, my database doesn't even know that I sell real estate yet, or, you know what I mean? Like, or, I can call them, but the reason it's so tough to have like someone in the business for a long time, and I'm starting to get there, and I'm starting to realize it, and I'm in denial how long I've already been in real estate, is your database does start working for you, and you have to have that foresight to know that now, that it's so important to dive into your database. That's why we do talk about that. Call your people, like Steven said, of call your people, come from, Gary's words, right? Service first, sales second. And ironically, they're going to take that conversation to real estate anyways, because one day, assuming none of you plan on not being in real estate in a few years, right? You're going to look up and thank yourself. Because I look up and I go, I wasn't even perfect by any means, but people knew I sold real estate. I made sure they knew. I reached out, did the birthdays. And now literally when people look up, like when I get a group text message from someone that's like, hey, so-and-so, this is Alex, the realtor I was telling you about. This is who you need to talk to. And you're just like, I didn't even know I was like that impactful in your world, that you were willing to do a group message right now, circle me in like that, instead of being like, hey, I think this person wants to buy or sell, like you should call them, right? They were just like forcing it on that person. You just look up and you want to be in that position in the future. And it all starts with your database. But all this lead gen conversation, now you got to feed that database. Know that you can treat the database really well, saturate it, right? 19 to connect, cement the relationship, 36 to saturate, right? So you go, I'm going to saturate people really well. Alex, DTD2, and, we're going to use the neighborhood smart plans. We're going to do our birthday smart plans, right? Like, yes. And then, one day, maybe one day we'll be able to do events again for our clients. And so then you got to go and connect with these people. So what I'm telling you guys, and I'm playing, we're on the brink, guys. Like, just FYI, I really am looking at some ways that us as a market center can reinvest in you. Like that, if you go spend some money on Facebook, that we can even try to reimburse you. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm trying to work on that because I want you guys out there generating leads, because I know it. Trust me. I'm calling my database and they're like, yep, just sitting at home. I mean, I'm working from home, but like, I'm at home, I'm getting bored, I'm doing this, right? I'm on huddle calls with our region every Wednesday and Friday morning, and every team leader, a good chunk of them are sitting, at home as well. And I'm just like, yeah, like maybe, our office just doesn't have a ton of people that, luckily, naturally our agents decided not to come in. So we didn't really have to close the doors like that because everybody keeps their distance. I would go crazy working from home. And I know a lot of you are feeling that way, right? Like it's, So anyways, what I'm just kind of getting at is look up and know, like, if you would go and do an open house tomorrow, if everything was okay, and spend $30, don't ignore what you can do with that same amount of money, through our ad accelerator, right? And literally you could run it over 10 days, right? Who here would spend $3 a day right now to lead gen? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So don't think that you have to go run an ad for 2 days, spend $30, right? Like, honestly, you know what Facebook would really love? If you said, I will spend $90 this month, run this ad for 30 days. Run this ad for 30 days, spend $3 a day for me, and that's what it would do. It'd be like, great, spend $3 a day. Maybe I got a name and number, I'll call them, right? So play around with your comfort level. Like if you all looked up and be like, well, yeah, like, I'm not trying to spend 30 today and 30 next day. If you feel that way, I hope none of you guys do, but if you do, that's why I want to bring it up. Like feel like you can go and say, yeah, I'm going to just make one really good ad, and just run it. Maybe it's, should you buy or rent during the pandemic, right? Like click here to learn more and you create a landing page, right? Or something like that. If you have a really gorgeous property, use my properties, guys. Like, I don't care. Like that house is pending, but if you can pick up some leads by like placing it out there, use it, right? So if anybody, I can't speak for every agent in the market center, right? But like, all of us have been on this mastermind consistently since we started it. This is our fourth one, if I'm not mistaken. Like, just know all of you can use my listings if you see one that you like and you want to advertise it and leverage it. And how do you do that? I'm going to share my screen real quick because, well, I'm sorry. I actually did the What the Tech on Monday for campaigns, and I need to just share that video. Sorry, I had to download that to my computer and all this stuff. So I actually went over it. So instead of screen sharing right now, but I want you guys to know, like if you ran out and made an ad as soon as this hung up, all you got to do in the Facebook campaigns is say, hey, Facebook, I want to use your internet lead gen form, right? I just want to use your internet lead gen form. When they use that, then I want you to direct them to this website. And some of you may say, yeah, but what's that website? Like, where should they go, right? And that should be your KW, your own KW website. So for me, alexfajardo.kw.com, and I'll go on there, search the property, right? So 1061 East Mead, get the landing page, and I get the URL for my property right there and say, hey, take them there. Take them right to my KW site. They can look at all the pretty pictures and all that, because that's all they really wanted to see is more information. They wanted to see the price, the location, and the pretty pictures. And that's great. I don't need my KW site to lead capture, because Command teamed up with Facebook and said, hey, give us an internet lead gen form. And in our lead gen form, we want you to capture name, email, and phone number, right? And oh, by the way, drop it right into Command for our agents too, right? So that's what you guys can start doing like immediately, right? And then again, tactic 6, lead. So here's the beautiful thing and why I'm harping so much on the Facebook leads. 2 reasons. It is how you can, it's a value proposition you can bring to your listing presentation. Hey, for your home, one of the things that I do is I advertise it on Facebook, and I have a very strategic strategy. You know, on the day before it's going on the MLS, I let everybody know that they can have a sneak peek of this home before it's going to go live. And why the day before, right? Because here's the beautiful thing. If you time it right, you have your ad start the day before you're going to go live. You stay in compliance with NAR, the whole new clear cooperation rule, right? So you run the ad to start the day before you're going to go live on the MLS, and you still let it run for like 10 days and just structure yourself and say, hey, this is going live tomorrow. Nobody knows when tomorrow is, right? Like really, like the people signing up for it, they're like, oh, okay, it's not going live tomorrow. Click, info, landing page, right? And they get to see that home, you get their information, right? So you get to show up at a listing presentation saying, this is what I do to help sell my listings and attract people. This is how I'm doing a digital open house in this time of the pandemic. That way you're not getting, group. Guys, I'll give you an example. My my exterior only open house. I looked up and I said, yeah, I'm glad we actually kept it interior only. Every day leading up to it, I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, I mean, we need to get this thing sold. You need to get to Texas. Like, why don't we just, like, can't you guys like go to an Airbnb for like 3 days and we'll have like a cleaner come through? Like, we got to figure out something. You know what I mean? Like, I had all these thoughts in my head about this whole virtual only interior, right? And in retrospect, I had 10 different groups come to the exterior open house, right? 7 because of agents and 3 of them without agents. And I kind of looked up and I go, how would I feel if 10 people, like 10 different groups of people walk through my house right now? Right? Like, I know Tara, like just from our conversations, I think you would freak out, right? If like 10 different groups of people walk through your house right now. So like, I think we all would, but like, Tara and I have definitely talked about, like, yeah, definitely got to be safe and be good. And so I kind of looked up and I was like, dude, this would have been insane if, this many people were scheduling through showing time and, people were wanting to see it, all this, it would have been a mess. And instead, by the way, in case you don't know, yeah, I got the property sold. We got a over asking offer. They were 40% down payment, like $200,000 down payment, California buyer, completely gung ho. They go, whatever we need to do to win on this property, we want it, in there in person with me at the open house. And you're just like, great, like things are really crazy out there, and maybe just secured myself another, $12,000 in commission or whatever. Right. So
awesome.
Sorry, I know I just talked a lot, but I want to make sure you guys have actionable items out of these masterminds. I love that you guys raised your hand for the bold pivot. Trust me, bold is worth it at 800, and at the 99, I'm just like, it's, by the way, with you being bold and MAPS coaching in general, like when Abe did his coaching, I was like, so Abe Shreve is he's the CEO, correct? Right? Yeah. So he's like the CEO of MAPS Coaching, and he was going to do an Austin coaching, and I literally wanted to go. I was like, I'm going to fly to Austin. I'm going to pay for this, right? Like it's in May. Like I'll just fly in and fly out, right? And it's so funny the things that happen through a pandemic while we're all kind of scrambling and getting used to everything. Like his coaching went down to like $49, and I was about to like fly, get a hotel, pay like $500 for the coaching, and I got it for $50, right? Like, so what a great, like everybody's working together in this company to help us get through this and not have to, you know, spend an arm and a leg to still get the same training that we maybe normally would pay for.
Exactly.
So take advantage of it, guys, in every aspect, right? Take advantage. You can get discounted leads. Take advantage. Like you guys in particular continue showing up to this mastermind, and I'm talking to you five in particular. Yeah, you five in particular. Like, don't wake up at the end of the week and be like, shit, I didn't do anything. Right? Like, so, right.
Alex, can I say something before I jump off?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
So tactic 6, right? It talks about catch people on your web, internet lead conversion, right? So I look at it as basically we have 2 websites now, right? You have command and all that consists of, and then you have social media and everything that consists of, right? And then the 3 steps to ensure that you have success in a shifting market around your online presence. It says create and maintain internet presence is number 1. Create and maintain internet presence. And then number 2 is lead generate for traffic. And number 3 is capture, connect, cultivate, and close leads. So if you have like a really good online presence, you're going to get leads. Leads are going to come to you through your online presence and through your social media. One that I always struggled with around the internet presence was, what does lead generate for traffic mean? Like, how do you do that with a website? So in all honesty and full transparency, I never really figured it out with the website. Yet I figured it out at a very high level, kind of similar to Alex, which is how I built an incredible business and became a bold coach. Was most of my lead generation online was through social media. And so there are ways that you can lead generate right with your social media right there. And now with command and how you can, like what Alex is talking about, if you guys don't know what he's talking about, like get with him and figure that out, because there are some incredible tools there. And the point that I wanted to make though, is just on your personal social media account, you have so much potential there. And so the key during this any shift, right, especially this one, right now is more important. Mind share is more important than market share. Okay, mind share is more important than market share. Market share will come. You will increase your market share if you take mind share today. Okay, when the market shifts back in our favor after this is all said and done, your mind share is what's going to allow you to take market share. And you do that, like I said, 1 of 2 ways: lead generating through your social media account. And so there's multiple ways to increase your algorithm, so increase the presence that you have on your social media account. And so just some simple ways that I've learned and through studying online social media marketing is just go. Every time you do a post, it doesn't matter what your post is about. That's the coolest thing. If your database knows that you're in real estate, then every time they see you, what do you think they're thinking about? Real estate, right? I mean, that's the goal. And if you haven't got that quite there yet, that's okay. That's why you're doing this, right? So every once in a while, you need to do a real estate post on your personal account. We say 4 to 1 is the ratio. So 4 personal to 1 business, because people really care about you. They don't necessarily care about how much money you're making. Yet you got to keep that top of mind, okay? These 4 personal, though, are important. A lot of people forget about that in regards to social media, especially when they first get into real estate. 4 to 1 is the ratio that we found to be a key. Now, a way that you can get more people to see that is to just do a couple of things. So one thing I tell all my agents, I say, go on to 10 different accounts before you do your post and comment and like their post. So comment with at least 4 words or more and like their post. It doesn't matter who, just anybody that's out there, especially people that you want to see your post. So if you like, I haven't talked to that person in a while, go and actually comment on their post. That will increase the likelihood that they see your post, whatever post it is. And then of course, like I said, when they see you, the goal is they think about real estate. And when they think about real estate, who do they think about? You. That makes sense? Another thing you can do is jump on your Facebook Messenger. And so if you don't have someone's number. You could just text them on Facebook or message them on Facebook Messenger every time. So I have a little checklist of things I do every single day. Whenever I have like someone that has a birthday that day, I send them a Facebook message. It's much more interpersonal than just doing it on their wall, because half the world says happy birthday on their wall. You send a direct message in their Facebook account, or Instagram works too, to them. It means a lot more for them. And again, it increases the likelihood that they see your post moving forward.
Let me challenge you guys on that one. So take that Facebook message, turn it into a video instead. People have responded so well to me in that, right? Just go into the message, click the video, record right then. Hey, hey, Steven, I just wanted to reach out and send you a happy birthday. I know you probably have a lot of people reaching out today, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that I wanted you to have an awesome day and an amazing year. And if there's anything I can do for you during all this madness, don't hesitate to reach out, right? And you send that as a video, and, because we've all done it, right? It was like, hey, happy birthday, have a great day, right? And what do you get back? Like, thank you, right? Ever since I started doing video instead, people are just like, dude, that was so awesome of you. Thanks so much. How are you doing? And people, their mind are blown, because who's taking the time, right? Like, everybody's just like, thank you, or happy birthday, congrats, and balloons, whatever Facebook does automatically on the timelines, right? On the posts. So, right. So they're just like, I'm going to see 100 of those, like, who actually sent me an actual video. So just a heads up. But so, well, Steven, I know you have your
thanks
call.
For letting me be on.
I appreciate you jumping on as well. So thanks so much. And
my pleasure.
Hopefully we'll see you on the bold side then.
For sure. Can't wait. See you guys in Pivot.
Yep. Later. Hey, so one thing I did want to touch on, one last thing, because I know we're getting listings, right? We're all having conversations about having listings in our pipeline. I do want to prepare you. So real life example, the real gorgeous property on Mead that I had, stunner, gorgeous. I probably could have priced that like at 500,000. Someone would have bought it, right? Like, it was just that one house that everybody wanted. Gone overnight, multiple offers, over asking, right? Over here, 3 miles away, 2,100 square foot home, 3 bedrooms plus a den, 2 bath, pool. These 2 homes I'm talking about are placed in the neighborhood in the exact same spot. They back the road that turns off a major road, but into the neighborhood, right? So, not, for example, again, if I start giving you East Valley thing, you guys would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But like, you turn off 19th Avenue, and then it's the neighborhood street, and then there's the first row of homes, that's the backyards right there off that road. Both of these homes are like there. Very interesting, right? One goes overnight, the other one is sitting there. And I look up and I go, how weird, right? Like, it was clean, great photos, backyard, pool. The guy is a master with grass, his front yard and backyard, perfect manicured grass. And yet, literally, I've maybe gotten 4 showings, So then you go, well, maybe overpriced, right? And I go, well, the same home basically just sold for 410. We just said 414, right? Like normal, maybe pre-pandemic, like pricing, like price it just a little bit. So we finish there, whatever, and we're like looking up and we're like, man, that's super weird. So know your product well is what I'm getting at. I think I failed. I'm admitting that I probably failed and gave this home, the one that's not selling, too much credit, right? And saying, well, we need to price it at the comparable or maybe a little under because things are going on. Instead of, being like, yeah, Mr. Seller, Steven, Bold Coach Steven, in his case, his client was right, pricing it a little bit more. In my case, I was wrong, pricing it that like 4,000 more. So just be careful and know your product well. If you have a stunner property, it's probably going to sell no matter what you do, right? But if you don't, just be prepared to look up and say, hey, make sure you're paying extra attention to the caliber of home that has sold comparable wise, and if you hang with it or not, right? So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because that is tactic 7, right? So, price ahead of the market. I think we're very lucky here in Arizona that, I don't know about you guys, I'm actually super thankful for the amount of inventory we now have compared to before this, right? Like seeing 9,000 single family home, or I'm sorry, total, like I'm not single family, just residential properties, 9,000. And now we're at, 13 and change. And what's even better is we are down in listings compared to a month ago. So like when it spiked up dramatically, like we're now down from that number. So things are selling, and you guys know that from the team meeting, but just be careful. I think people now more than ever, like they're not going to let a good property go away. Like the one I had on Mead, the one with the exterior open house, but this other one, like, if it's not like, to the nines and what everybody's kind of expecting, just be careful with your pricing as well. So just be prepared for that, because we've been very spoiled this last few years on how we can price things and whatnot. But I know that was a lot of talking this over here and Steven, but what do you guys have on your mind? What struggles are you facing? Like, these last 10 minutes of the call, like, I just want to make sure that we're addressing things in your guys' world. You guys are quiet today.
I think I've been kind of shocked at the not struggle, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I'm a little bit surprised at how ambitious people still are. And understanding, they're like, yeah, we get it. There's some question marks and we don't really know, but whatever. Like, it's just kind of, I have two different sellers that are like, if you need to do an open house, and I'm like, nope, not doing an open house. And
Right.
For different reasons, like one just isn't, they're just different reasons. But it's very interesting to me that people are, I don't want to say like not concerned, but kind of not concerned. And then I've got buyers that are 300 and under, and they're like, hey, we don't want to be snake in the grass, but we're teachers and we have the time right now to buy. So, and we have the job security since we can't really lose our jobs. So like, we don't want to be snakes in the grass, but at the same time, we want to kind of capitalize on the fact that some buyers that were competition are not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Doesn't make you a snake in the grass. Somebody's going to buy the house. Might as well be you.
Yeah. And so two sides of that conversation, Tara, and I love it, but I do want to mention, as an agent, from what you just said, right? I go, that's kind of what I was getting at with like our inventory and where it's at, right? Like I had buyers that, I kid you not, and trust me, I sound spoiled as hell when I say this. I know it. I was like really not excited that I had them, right? I was like, buyers right now, like, I don't want to go against 5 offers, 7 offers. Like I could be the best presenter in the world, but like if someone's just going to throw cash that my client doesn't have, like there's nothing I can do about that. Right. So I love that you said that, because there are the buyers that are just like, look, I'm not like, yeah, let's be careful. I'm not going to give you the hug I normally gave you, but like, can we go look at that property? Right. Like, so yeah. And so that increase in inventory, I think it sucks that it took this, but something had to balance us, at least here in Arizona. Right. So like and Tara, I think what you're feeling and seeing from people, it's not, I will say this, directly impacted people, that's where you're going to feel it from. Right. And then you're going to feel for them. Right. But if they don't even have a 2 degree of separation of someone who's been impacted by the virus, like actually health wise, you're not going to feel it from them. Right. They're just going to be like, I don't know, I've just been locked in my house. Like I'm getting kind of tired of this, and I'm not going to stop my goals as a result. Right. And can you blame them? Because we're kind of talking about the same thing. Like, hey, let's adjust how we maybe do something, but we're still agents and we still need to sell. Let's, right. Like, let's continue with our goals. Right. So, but yeah, anyways, long story short, what I just wanted to kind of mention there is, it is interesting, right? Because sometimes people call you and like my clients, Jake and Lacey, I laugh because they're being very protective. They're working from home, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to showing, they're like, we need to find a place. We're out there, and that's, that part of it going out and everything kind of feels normal. And they've been relieved that people are still allowing people into the house, because they go, I don't think we could buy a house virtually. Like, I don't think we could make even an offer on something we couldn't see. And I go, I didn't even think about that, right? Like, how you could be feeling that's how you might have to buy a property, right? So, I think they're kind of grateful.
Stephanie, you were going to add something. What were you going to say at the beginning of that?
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like people think there's nothing going on out there, but I've been doing a lot of virtual showings this last week with a person from California, and like every other listing I feel like I go to, because they'll send them to me the minute they come on, there's either somebody there or somebody waiting when I leave, and the poor guy's gotten beat out on 3 offers now. I mean, it's like things are still happening, and every time I call somebody from my sphere, you know, I've been doing the D2, like they are the ones to bring up real estate and like, hey, our price is just falling, and I'm like, no, you know, like it's still crazy.
Yeah.
Like I have, you know, more listings now coming up than I have this whole time that I've started. So I mean, some people just have to sell and some people just have to buy. So
well, and I think that's our messaging, right? Like I did a post the other day because it does feel like that weird balance of not looking like we're just being irresponsible and insensitive to what's happening, but trying to say, you know, there are still people that have to buy and have to sell right now. And I get those same questions, Stephanie, like, is the market, you know, is pricing coming down, or, you know, I'm like, no, I mean, I haven't seen that. Now I haven't had anybody start and then appraise. And so when this first started a couple of weeks ago, I had a lot of cross agents that were talking about appraisals that were getting kind of skewed, but I haven't had that experience at this point, just because of where I'm at. We were either through that phase when this stuff hit. But I kind of feel like people are starting to feel like we're coming out of this whole lockdown shutdown thing, right? There's more talk about when is it opening back up. And so it's feeling a little bit more like a blip, I think, than holy cow, this could be months and months and months of this. Now that might change, you know, and that's really kind of what I'm saying to people is I can't predict the future any more than you can. I'm really kind of harping on that whole, like, this is unprecedented, you know, type of thing, because most people get that. They get that we can't tell the future. But what price point is your California guy in, Stephanie?
Like 220 to 275. Like he just offered on one last night, 275. That's actually, I wanted him to offer on Saturday. When we looked, I'm like, this is beautiful for 275, and he wanted to offer on the dump behind it for 240 that looked like a 5-year-old painted it. So I'm like, now there's more showings, and you know. Well,
he'll learn, right? He'll learn.
Where's he looking?
Just kind of the west side. I mean, even south of the 101, north of the 101, just all over.
Gotcha.
How far west? Alex, stay out of this. You stay on your east side.
The one, I'm trying to think. The one we offered on.
Sarah's got a listing coming up. That's why I know. Don't you have your 275 listing coming up? Like.
No. There's so much over here. I don't have any. That other one's in Queen Creek, Alex. So I'm venturing into your world. Sorry.
Yeah. So we offered on one last night. Hopefully he'll get it, and I'm going to show him one in about 15 minutes, just in case. So he has that as a backup. But yeah, I feel like it's still just as crazy out there, and things are happening with people.
Stephanie, you said you have an investor, right? Is your investor still looking around and wanting to buy something?
I feel like he's backed off a little bit. Like I sent him one last week that actually looked decent, and he was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then I didn't hear from him. But if you have something good, I could definitely.
I do. I don't really have like pictures and stuff, but you guys are welcome to go take a look at it down in like Light Arcadia. It's like Osborne and 24th Street kind of area. So I don't know, because that's the whole, like, you know, make it stunning and people will pay whatever down there, like kind of a thing. So just, anyways, just to get this all wrapped up for you guys, because I know we're breaking 11 and some of us may have some other Zoom calls, but thank you guys for jumping on. That was all great information. And that very last segment there that you guys talked about, it's funny when you can tie it to something in the book, right? People are now making you be their local economist, right? Like, hey, what's going to happen? What can I do? And so educate yourselves on those numbers, right? Because now instead, you know, like, hey, I don't have a crystal ball, but our market is telling us this, right? 490 homes came on the market in the last 3 days. 460 also went under contract at the same time, right? Like, so what's really funny, that used to just be reversed. Like, you know, maybe 460 would come on, 490 would go under contract. That's why we were in such a heavy sellers market, you know. So now it's almost reversed, and it's almost like a lot more healthier, which is great for our buyers, not as great for our sellers, but not terrible. They're still fine. You know, equity has grown the last decade, you know, so, and now people are going to look up and be like, well, crap, like, yeah, so things are fine, right? And be like, well, they're fine now. Again, that's where I don't have that crystal ball, but you know, numbers continue to trend in the right direction. Yes. Right. And be able to run with that in your conversations with people. So for sure. Well, I appreciate you guys. Hopefully that, you know, having Steven on was beneficial. Again, I know it was, you know, to kind of advertise the bold part, but I think he brought some great value and some pieces from there. And it kind of echoed a lot of what we've been talking about, and hearing that from somebody else is always fun. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. And if there's anything I can do, you know where to find me.
Alex, do you want to post that link in the Facebook page for people that haven't saved it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna, when I post this video, I'm gonna post the link, you know, hey, for those of you, you know, when you hear the bold part, here's the link to be able to sign up. So perfect. Yes. Cool. Yep. So awesome. Well, I appreciate that you guys all raised your hand. When you head over to the link and you sign up, will you guys like, you don't have to forward me the email, but will you let me know so I can kind of keep tally, you know, for the market center? Cause I kind of want to track that. I'd love to see how many people actually join, cause I'm kind of right there. I'm just like, where am I going to fit that in my team leader schedule? But like, I'm going to pay for it and have it so I can watch the videos at the minimum. So, yep. All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go crush it. Thanks.
Bye.
Later.